Yeah, 3 cycles. That's it. Okay, so this is called the 3 sufferings. I started this triptych during the pandemic. Now, pandemics derive from humans intermingling too closely with animals, poor farming practices, and human squalor. So AIDS, mad cow disease, the Black Death, COVID are just to name a few. Oh, sorry. Okay, so during the pandemic, I meditated in my garden a lot. Mostly not to kill my family. And it was warm, there were bees, there were butterflies and sunflowers, as you can see in Buddha cow here. Now you can't see it in the picture, but right over here you've got a few snails on his head as well. Now, a few years before the pandemic, I discovered a lot about Buddhism. During an extended stay in hospital, I awoke with post-traumatic amnesia caused by a head injury. I spent a lot of time relearning about the world, how to make a cup of tea, how to eat without dribbling my food, and how to create art again. I've not been to art college, but I've painted and drawn since I was a child, so this has been a long journey to get me back to the point where I'm happy to show my work. When I was working on this painting, I was thinking a lot about the Burmese democratic leader Aung San Suu Kyi. She's a Theravada Buddhist. She had said about her meditation practice she would not have been able to cope with all of her years in prison. From 2022 she's been put in prison again, taking her time up to about 33 years. So, awful. Now, keeping this in mind, did any of you enjoy lockdown? You know, our 1 walk a day prison? And your cats and your dogs, like if you leave them at home all day, they generally tear the house up or get very anxiety, etc. I have to say I'm a dog person personally. Cows are just like dogs. They are big, friendly, lovable creatures, very intelligent animals. Sadly, on dairy farms, cows are confined and lead very unhappy lives. It's a prison on a dairy farm, and the only escape is death. Now, Buddha cow first started off as a she. The painting has changed a lot. I then reworked her, and she transitioned to a he. This is a shout out to the LGBTQIA crew and their fight and prejudice that some are still facing around the world. I believe in Russia it's awful for people in that walk of life. Now, animal and human rights boils down to just one fundamental thing: the right to be treated with respect as an individual, the inherent worth and the freedom to choose how we live. Treated as milk machines, the cow's boots, their udders, often get mastitis. This is a nasty, painful infection. The infected milk passes into the cartons that we find on our supermarket shelves. 400,000 somatic cells, a somatic cell is pus, it's the same stuff you'd squeeze out your face. So 400,000 cells of this are legally allowed in our milk that we buy in the UK and Europe. It's worse elsewhere. There's a much larger count in America and Brazil. Now, dumping a tanker of dairy milk costs a farmer about £4,000. So we've got to, fingers crossed, that the dairy farmers are being honest with their cell counts. Artificial insemination occurs whilst a female cow, is restrained in a contraption nicknamed by the industry as a rape rack. As a female, this really annoys and upsets me. I can't help but empathise and feel very, very angry. Angry for all of the females, angry with, throughout history, everywhere. How we've been demonified, how we've been mistreated, and how that is still going on, but not just in our world, in the animals' world as well. I don't want to ignore the subject of men's rights. Bulls endure anal insertion of electric dildos to acquire their semen. I don't believe their consent was given. Dairy is liquid meat. After the lady cow's reproductive system has been manipulated, ruthlessly taken advantage of, and she's endured multiple pregnancies, her milk will dry up, okay? Now, personally, I am looking forward to the menopause, okay? I'm sick and tired of all of the stuff we females have to endure physically. Sadly though, if a cow's milk stops, she will be slaughtered for cheap meat. That is a lot of suffering. As you can see from my artwork, I've been massively inspired by Frank Arbuck's work. He's a painter that uses a lot of paint, and his paintings are very touchy-feeling and very, very thick. I kind of sculpt and collage my pieces these days. I've started using plaster in my paint to give a little bit more. Again, you can't really see it here, but it's very, very 3D. So yeah, as I say, they're all very touchy-feely. This brings us on to Octo-Buddha. So, octopi are intelligent, complex and fascinating animals. They can feel joy and excitement, but obviously pain and fear as well, just like us. If you haven't seen the film My Octopus Teacher, I think it's on Netflix, please watch it. It's so good. It's not sad, well, it depends on your own perspective, but it's not a slaughterhouse video. It's a free octopus living in the ocean, and it's absolutely wonderful. Keeping them on farms leads to disease, unnatural aggression, cannibalism, injury, and death as they fight and struggle to escape. Now imagine if during lockdown, all of the above had happened to you. I created the bubbles in the background, not the foreground, but in the backgrounds here, by putting washing up liquid in paint and a straw, a reusable straw obviously, and then I popped the canvas onto the bowl that had the bubbles on it and just hoped for the best. So from earth and sea we now arrive at air. This is Buddha bee. As a result of disease caused by the intensive backyard beekeeping and pesticides, climate change, the honeybee's population has very nearly been decimated. And I'm sure you all know that if we lose our pollinators, we're stuffed basically. Since the demand for bee vomit and wax remains so high, to keep up the production, lady bees are placed into this tiny little vice for insemination. They then get tipped upside down, and this reveals their private parts. Now you may have just noticed that I called honey bees vomit. Bees regurgitate the liquid that we call honey, so that's vomit basically. Now, while she's in this little vice and she's been tipped upside down, a tiny metal tube is forced inside her vagina. This tube then opens with 3 prongs, widening her lady bits. This allows the beekeeper to place a tiny drop of semen inside her vulva. To me, this sounds like an alien abduction horror story. I don't know how you feel about it. Male bees don't normally survive the harvesting process for semen. Now, all beings on this planet have the capability of suffering. Jeremy Bentham, a founder of the School of Moral Philosophy, stated, the question is not can they think, nor can they talk, but can they suffer? After she was finished, I had decided to use glitter. You can't really see it on here, but all 3 of these paintings are riddled with gold glitter along with the gold paint. Now the butterfly wings were to denote the connection to other flying creatures, mostly butterflies. The gold paint is not only a reference to Klimt, but Renaissance religious art and the human suffering that they depict. The halo, you can't really see it anymore, but behind Buddha Cow's head is a massive red circle, and it started off as a halo basically. It is also a nod to the Renaissance and religious art. As Buddha Cow was in a summer garden at the time, he's also covered in pollen. Now, as I say, all 3 paintings ended up getting the glitter treatment, and it wasn't just to tie them all together. Water often sparkles, but it also emphasises just how wondrous and magical life in nature is. During the pandemic, nature truly started to make a comeback, even if it was just for a short time. We were all very, very fortunate to witness this. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is called Climate Change. It's mixed media, and it's quite an old painting now. To create the waves, again, if you look close up at them, there's a lot of paint inside them to make the swirls. But to keep the paint inside, I used string and drew out the waves with string first, basically. And the rubber ring, well, obviously this is a rubber ring on a flooded Egypt, hence the name Climate Change, is made from an old pizza box. And that's my garden. Now there you go. Next slide, please. Come on, Sam. Okay, this is called the Holy Trinity. Kind of speaks for itself, really, doesn't it? I painted this triptych a few Easters ago. Jesus is said to have died for our sins. Millions of animals die daily to be eaten by humans. I believe gluttony is still one of the 7 deadly sins. Obesity has become a global disease. Being overweight or obese is a major risk factor for a number of chronic illnesses, including heart disease and strokes. That's the leading cause of death worldwide. This is the first one, and this is called dippy eggs. Chickens are inquisitive, intelligent animals. Humans' taste for chickens' ovulations has meant that millions of these birds spend their entire lives in cramped, dirty cages. Free-range hens are kept in overcrowded sheds. But because it's an overcrowded shed, which is still filthy and there's dead animals on the floor and the chickens are walking on them and eating on them, because it's not a cage, they can legally sell them as free-range. Chickens have been selectively bred to lay anywhere between 200 to 300 eggs a year. Now, before the manipulation of their genetics, chickens used to lay 12 eggs a year. That's 12 periods a year, just like a human female. And as we ladies know, periods suck, so laying an egg is not fun. Male baby chicks are thrown into a meat grinder, alive, just after hatching. Some, you've probably seen the videos of still bits of shell on them. The pink goo that this creates, basically, is then doused with bleach and turned into, say, chicken nuggets at McDonald's.
Jolene, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
5 minutes.
Okay, no worries at all.
Sorry, I know we're in a couple of minutes.
That's fine. This one is called roast lamb, and it symbolises the wool industry, which is another business that lurks behind animal cruelty. Most lambs, sheep are slaughtered at about 10 weeks to 6 months old, and some lambs have their wool taken just once before they're slaughtered for meat. And this last one here is called animal testing. More than 9 million animals are used in experiments in Europe every year for things like medicine, but cleaning supplies and beauty products, which is kind of ugly, to be honest. Next slide, please. This is called plastic at Tiffany's. Obviously, plastic waste in the UK is a massive problem. It causes deformities in animals, as you can see from her waist. The character is based on Holly Golightly from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Breakfast at Tiffany's is quite a materialistic film in a lot of respects. Holly suffered an abusive childhood and was taken in by Doc Golightly, who married her when she was underage, about 14. Soon after the marriage was annulled, Holly then ran off again in search of a happier life. She would talk to the narrator during the film, saying that she was going to go to Tiffany's to cheer herself up. So it was all about materialism and capitalism and buying things to make yourself feel better. Not forgetting the fact that she was taken advantage of as a minor. Our society is force-fed materialism, capitalism and things to cause insecurity. The ownership of objects can make us feel like there is a permanence. Now, we're on a rock, a spinning rock flying through space. If that is not enough to make any of us feel insecure, I don't know what is. Obviously, the throwaway culture that we live in also is called, well, obviously not helping climate change helps the melting of the catwalk. The catwalk is also there to symbolise narcissism and vanity. In my paintings, I've started to use a technique from the Renaissance period where they would paint and then varnish and then paint and then varnish. And this is one of those to get the light coming through on the legs. Okay, next slide please. This one's called fishing line. In addition to deforming grown sea creatures, as Holly's shell, fishing lines also trap animals, as you can see down here. When the animals get trapped, so this is like mammals, reptiles, and humans, divers, they drown. Plastic lines also get tangled around reefs, killing coral. Not only is any fishing too much fishing, discarded lines can also cause massive suffering out of the water as well, as hooks and lines get caught on branches, debris becoming entangled in legs, wings and beaks of birds. Next slide please. This is called Pigorus, Piglets and Pearls. And you can see here I've used tiny little bits of paper that I then, in the shape of little flowers, that I dipped and turned, well, at first they were purple, and then when I stuck them on, I highlighted them with the same colour as the pigs to bring in the sort of 3 areas of pink. Now, this is inspired by Cerberus, the loyal and obedient 3-headed dog of the god of Hades in Greek mythology. In light of recent news about dangerous dogs, Cerberus was not a bad dog, he just had a bad owner. Now, pigs are gentle creatures. Studies have found that they are smarter than dogs and 3-year-old children. In the wild, pigs will form small family groups. So they will form small family groups, as you can see up here, with piglets and sows. Now, as a vegan, I have often been asked the following over the years. What would I do if I was stuck on a desert island with nothing but pigs? Now, 1, this is very unlikely that's going to happen. And 2, pig physiology is very similar to humans, so I can just eat the food that they're eating. Now, as a vegan, I can only show people where the water is. I cannot force anybody to drink it. Hence the pearls. So there's an old saying, laying your pearls before swine. Now, if you're casting your pearls before swine, it means that you're wasting your time by offering something that is helpful, valuable, educational, to someone who does not understand or appreciate it. Next slide, please. I enjoyed doing the pig painting so much that I wanted to do another one, basically. So this is the same drawing, I suppose, as the first one, but now it's at night time. It's called Me, Myself and I. Now, we as a species are all so multifaceted, all so different, yet exactly the same. I think there's probably more than just me, myself and I up here. Who are you talking to when you're talking to yourself? It's said that we are born alone and then we'll die alone. But you are there with yourself, you are never truly alone. In this painting, I'm also trying to convey how human animals are and how animal humans are. To me, racism is outmoded and utterly backwards. We need to stop seeing colour. Tribalism is a throwback to the caveman era, which is supposed to be evolved. Speciesism is a prejudice in favour of one's own species. I say paying for another species to be killed for your dinner is definitely specious, especially when there are so many plant-based options to choose from these days. Now, we are all born on planet Earth. We are all earthlings. I believe we get one chance at life. I would really like them to get their chance and not just be turned into bacon. The wings, obviously pigs can fly, but also to denote an angelic reference to being dead, basically. Next slide, please. We're nearly done. This is like a bird. It's a play on words. Laika, in this picture, is spelt L-A-I-K-A. So, sorry for the Nelly Furtado earworm that you might be getting now. Laika was one of the first animals in space and the first to orbit the Earth. A stray female mongrel from the streets of Moscow. She flew aboard the Sputnik 2 spacecraft on the 3rd of November 1957. The technology to deorbit land hadn't been developed yet, so Laika's survival was never expected or intended. She died of massive fatal overheating due to a malfunction just hours into the flight. This is just yet another example of how little some humans care about others. Space tourism, especially the kind of space travel that would take days to complete, is a massive threat to our climate. I saw a wonderful comment recently about Dolly Parton, obviously aimed at Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Dolly didn't spend her millions on vanity space travel. She spent it putting 150 million books into the hands of children. And honestly, more people should be like Dolly. The painting's name, as I said, is also a play on words, like a bird. Winged, you know, like an angel again, because, bless her, she's not with us anymore. The original name for this piece was Astro Dog Turkey. The feathers also represent the atrocities happening this time of year to poultry. Thanksgiving, Christmas, solstice, Yule. Nothing says peace on earth like a dead animal on your plate. Many people think of turkeys as little more than roasting the centerpieces or sandwiches. They are playful birds who enjoy the company of others. They love cuddles, they love getting strokes. They coo and gobble and cluck along to music. They have their own favourite song that they'll make lots of singing noises to, I suppose. Sadly, Dolly Parton is not vegan, but she does share a lot of vegan cake recipes. Now, if you may or may not be able to see, in here there is beads and buttons and bits of old jewellery and old piercing jewellery and just crap, basically, that is in my jewellery boxes and house. And it's all glued on to the celestial ring around the planet to denote all of the rubbish that, I don't want to name any companies, but humans that have gone to space have been leaving up there. So it seems to be wherever we go, we leave a bit of a mess, don't we? Right, last painting please. This is called the Balmoral Estate. It's relatively recent. I was playing more with the idea of being a bit more abstract, as my paintings seem to be quite more illustrational and surreal. So here we've got King Charles on the Balmoral Estate. The royals, obviously he only got into power last year, bless him. I was very disappointed to discover the royal family still hunt grouse at the Balmoral Estate. They also spend each Boxing Day hunting game birds at Sandringham. Fox hunting is still a massive problem in the UK. It happens every weekend in rural areas, and I've seen it, it's happening, simple as. The badger cull is utterly pointless. The hounds that are with the fox, that are chasing the foxes with the pack, often have TB, which is what they're saying the badgers have. So I just think badgers cause a lot of financial damage, so they want to get rid of them. The royals have faced increasing criticism for the practice, particularly given the king's outspoken passion for conservation and the environment. Apparently King Charles believes in veganism. His wife, Queen Camilla, on the other hand, particularly enjoys eating roast lamb for dinner. So yeah, she eats babies. Thank you all so much for listening. I know some of this has been hard going, but hopefully enlightening and inspiring also. Well done for those that have got into the exhibition. I'd like to obviously say a big congratulations to the winner and convey my gratitude to everyone who's made this happen. If you would like any help or guidance living a more cruelty-free lifestyle, please feel free to contact me. Veganism is not about being perfect, it's about trying to do the least harm. Thank you very much.